Welcome back. And now let's look at Etsy's content moderation policy, which is the other piece of this. There are so many links that go from one page to another in this new thing, where they're changing the definition of what can be sold on Etsy and the whole thing. But let's go over to the content moderation policy, because I think that it was worth looking at this just so that you can see how they are giving themselves the ability to moderate what's sold on Etsy. Okay, blah, 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 blah. This is basically saying we want to keep the platform safe, but this is how we're going to do it. Etsy takes user safety and well-being seriously, utilizes people, policies, and technology to enforce our content moderation policies. Okay, so at a baseline, we work to remove harmful and fraudulent content from the platform. That just means harmful stuff that's really harmful and copyright infringement. Beyond this, we also expect that content aligns with the mission of our brand, and we develop these policies with our company values in mind. That means nothing. All right. We strive to consistently enforce our policies, hold all members accountable to the same standards. Okay, whatever. This is the important part. This goal is achieved through human review, automated tooling and processes, quick action upon notice of an issue, meaning if the bot says something, they just take it down without looking at it. Cooperation with experts and regulators. So if the government says take this stuff down, then they do. Educating Etsy's member community, and a continuing commitment to a thoughtful content moderation strategy. Okay, so that means that they can change the policy at any point. But basically, you should look through this. This is the seller policy, the buyer policy. There's links to all of these things. There's prohibited items. The creativity standards are what we've been talking about today. There's the community policy. You can't do certain things to people. Can't spam customers. Can't be a nasty bully. Anti-discrimination and hate speech. I mean, there's just obvious things that you should not be doing on someone's platform. Okay. This says that they have the right to remove your content and to suspend or terminate your account. So they can do that at any given time. If Etsy determines at their whim, on their consideration, that they think you have violated their terms, they can take your account down. And that's your entire account. I know people who have had their messaging privileges, because it is a privilege. It's a messaging privilege. They have had that cut off, so they can't even contact customers. Okay. You need to not spam people. You need to just follow the rules. But this is the part that I thought was interesting, because I don't think that the automated systems was in this before. I could be wrong, but I haven't looked at this for a while. So our team uses a combination of automated systems and human review by enforcement specialists to detect and remove policy violating listings and shops. Violations may be brought to our attention in any of the following ways. Okay, now put me on that committee, because I could get rid of all this stuff so fast. It would not take me long, but nobody asked. Nobody's inviting me to their committee, which is a shame. Okay, so these are the ways that they actually find violating content. By users, you can report listings directly to Etsy, such as through the report this item to Etsy button on the bottom of each listing page. Every single listing page has a report this item to Etsy button. So when you see something that you get all mad about because this violates Etsy's policies, report it. And I know that they take a long time to take things down, but think about how many reports they probably get every day. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen immediately. But you have to report these things, or else you shouldn't complain about it. Okay, I don't go looking for things, but if I see something that's clearly not allowed on Etsy, I will report it. So like I said, don't complain if you don't want to take the time. And if you're like, I just want to mind my own business, that's fine. But then don't go into a Facebook group and complain that you saw all this stuff. If you're just minding your own business, then you shouldn't be complaining about it either. Just saying, all right? The next thing they use is regulatory reports. So like I said, if the government agency, for some reason, will contact Etsy and say, you're selling illegal stuff on your platform based on this law, then they will take that down. So that's, regulatory reports. They have laws about countries they can't sell products from. There are specific, things you can't sell online or whatever, and they have to respond to that. So that's one of the ways they do it. Automated systems is their bots that are so bad. Our automated systems attempt to identify violative content within seller content. Upon detection, the content is then reviewed and or removed. Okay, I would say that it's removed and or reviewed, because they tend to just take things down and then look at it later, as far as I can tell. But I think that the bot system is probably the primary way that they take things down at this point, because it's such a big job. And now they have this system, whether it's good or not, it's not. But whether it works or not, well, is a moot point. It's just the system that they have, and the automation is the main system. I just thought that it was interesting that they put that in this section as a separate way that they identify things. And like I said, I haven't looked at this for a while, so this could have been here for a while, but they're basically telling you we use bots. We use bots. It's automated. Okay, and then the last one is internal agents. This is internal agents may scan Etsy to identify violating content. I would like to be hired as an internal agent, Etsy. If you want to give me a job, I would sit on this computer for 8 hours a day, removing violating content. I would identify it. Give me that job. I would take it. So if you do get your listings taken down, then the internal agents are the people that will actually look at it if you call and complain. If you actually can get through and complain, if you file an appeal or whatever it is. I don't know how many they have. They might have 3. But like I said, put me on the job. I'll do it. Okay, how we enforce on violating content. We may take actions that restrict or suspend a shop account or listing content. We also may take actions on a user's payment account by holding seller funds. So this gives them the right to hold your funds. Okay. This is all in the terms. And if you are selling on Etsy, you have agreed to these terms of use. You don't have to like them, but you have agreed to them by selling on Etsy. We may use a combination of manual enforcement and an automated system to send warning notifications and ultimately suspend the account. So it's not just one or the other. It's going to be a combination of people and bots. They hold, they're letting you know this is how it's done. This is okay. This says that we will let you have an appeal, maybe. Okay. We provide routes to appeal for users whose listings or accounts have been impacted. These are very cleverly disguised routes a lot of the time. They're, you can find it, but this basically just gives them it gives them an out. It's like, yeah, we'll let you appeal. There usually is a way to appeal it. For listings, you can they may be available in some cases. Appeals for listing suspensions may be available. It depends why they remove your listing. I had a couple listings a couple years ago taken down for medical claims, which I was not making. But because that was the reason, even though it didn't make any sense, they would not let me appeal it. And they said, you can relist it, but you can't appeal it. Okay. So it depends on what the reason is, whether you can appeal. Okay, accounts, if they suspend your account temporarily or permanently, you will usually, now see this, okay, you'll generally receive an email from Etsy. I'm trying to unclick. You'll generally receive an email from Etsy explaining what happened. I have never heard of anyone who had their account suspended who received an email from Etsy. Okay, so generally, gives them they're like, well, generally, not all the time. Okay. I have never heard of anyone who received an email from Etsy when their account was suspended. And they always say, check your email. And there's never an email. So if your account has been suspended, you're probably just going to have to contact Etsy by requesting a callback. That's the best way. And talk to an actual human. Okay, if you're a seller, you may see a banner in your shop manager dashboard. Okay, you may see means they don't always show that to you. You might. Generally, you might. Okay, so sometimes you don't know. And if the account is permanently suspended, the email from Etsy will specify this, and there's generally no appeal. Again, you may be able to appeal a permanent suspension once you resolve the issues that led to the suspension. Depends on what it is, okay? But the suspension will remain unless your appeal is accepted. You have 6 months from the day your account was suspended to file an appeal. I don't know who wouldn't in 6 months. But anyway, they have all of this there. If you're worried about your account on Etsy being suspended for whatever reason, or you just want to understand how the process works, maybe how it generally works, yeah, just go to this section. I will put the link to this in the description of this video. You can go read it. But I think it's important to understand how they do moderate content at Etsy. this can change again. And, the section in here that says let's see, I think it's in here. It's in here somewhere that basically says we can change how we do this at any time. And it just depends on what's going on. And, we'll do what we need to do. They give themselves permission to do that. That's just how it works. But I think that it's important that you understand the policies that you have agreed to by selling on Etsy. Because like I said, if you choose to sell on Etsy, then you have accepted their terms of conditions, that you've accepted it. If you don't want to sell on Etsy because of this, then that's up to you, but you need to leave Etsy. Okay. If you choose to stay on Etsy, because no one's forcing you to sell on Etsy, this is a choice that we all make. And if you do, then you have accepted their terms and conditions, and you really should understand what those are so you don't get in trouble and you don't get suspended. Okay. So I will add more videos to this as need be. I might go in and to look at the listing manager specifically if people have questions about that. But I hope that this series was helpful so far. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments if you have questions or if there's something you want me to look at. And as Etsy makes changes, which they have said they're going to be doing, I will add more because this is a big deal. This is a big topic. I will talk to you in a bit.